Hello everyone, my name is Jose Rodriguez. Welcome to another video of our playlist dedicated to the credential dumping LSASS memory technique. Before we continue, it is important for you to understand that the steps that you will see in this video are just for educational and demonstration purposes. You must not use them against any real network. The LSASS memory technique has been used by real adversaries to access credential material stored in the process memory of LSASS. Okay, we will use 3 virtual machines from our lab environment to simulate this attack: a Windows 10 system, a pfSense router, and a Kali Linux machine. If you would like to build a similar environment, please check the My Virtual Lab environment using VirtualBox playlist in our YouTube channel. We will share the link to this playlist on the description of the video. Here you can see a list of tactics and techniques that we will show in this video. We will use 2 web servers to make both the payload and the Out-Minidump script available for our victim. After a reverse shell connection is started by Pedro Gustavo, we will execute PowerShell commands to download, parse, and execute the Out-Minidump function in memory. In order to facilitate the escalation of privilege phase of this attack, we will run our payload as an administrator account. Okay. Once we get high integrity access to the victims to the Windows system, we should be able to interact with LSASS. Okay, and we will implement this technique by using a PowerSploit script that implements the function Out-Minidump via the PowerShell module of Metasploit. Here you can see the 3 virtual machines we will use during this simulation: Kali, pfSense, and Windows 10. And it is important to note that the interaction between Kali and the Windows 10 system will be through the virtual router. Let's start by making our payload available using a Python HTTP server. Let's go to our Kali system. Let's open a terminal. Let me increase the font size for you. And let's change our current user to the root user, sudo space su, provide the password for Kali, okay? And let's get some network information about our Kali system. Let's run IP space A, and here you can see that the IP address for this system is 10.05.13. This is the IP address that we will use when creating our malicious payload, okay? This payload will be stored in a folder under the home Kali directory. Okay, so let's create a folder, mkdir, and then home Kali, and let's call it fake website. Okay, now we can create our payload, and we will use MSF Venom. And then we will use the -p parameter to specify the type of payload. And we are using the Windows x64 Meterpreter reverse HTTPS type of payload. We need to specify the listening host. And here's where you need to use the IP address for your Kali system. In my case, it's 10.05.13. And you also need to specify the listening port. You can pick whatever port you want. I'll go with 1, 2, 3, 4. And we are specifying the type of the format of this payload. There are different options, but I'll go with the executable one. So that's why I'm using exe. And then I'm using the greater than character to send this payload to a specific directory. Okay, so I'll send this payload to home Kali fake website. And then at the end, you need to specify a name for your payload. You can pick whatever name you want. I'll go with winx64 underscore payload. .exe. Okay, and then just hit enter. This payload, once executed, will start a reverse shell connection from Pedro's computer to our Kali system. Okay. Now, let me clear the screen. And if we go to, if we change our directory to home, Kali, and then home, Kali, fake website. I guess I forgot the slash first. Okay, and we list all our files. You can see that the payload is there. Okay, so now in order to make this available in a web server, we're going to run python -m space http dot server, and then we are going to specify a port. We are using 8080 this time. Okay, the reason why I'm not using 80 is because I'm reserving 80 for our Apache web server. Okay, let's hit enter. So now we just made available this payload using this HTTP server. So if you go to your Windows 10 machine and if you browse to 10.05.13:8080, okay, we're specifying the IP and then the port, you hit enter, you should be able to access this Python HTTP server, okay? And if you click on this link, you should be able to download the payload. You might get this warning message that is blocking the download. So just click on there and then select the keep option. So the download process is complete. Okay, but we are not done yet. Okay, we need to make the Out-Minidump PowerShell script available in our Apache web server. The Out-Minidump script is part of the PowerSploit tool, and even though the repository has been archived by the owner, we can still access its content. Okay, so if you access the raw data option, and if you access it in a new tab, okay, you should be able to see the content, and now we can copy this content. Okay, so you can select Control A or Command A if you're using a Mac system like me, and then you can do Control X, Command X, or if you want, you can make right click and select copy. So we'll go with right click, copy. Okay, so let's go back to our Kali system. Let's open a new tab. Okay, and then open a new terminal window. Let me increase the font size here. Let's change our current user to root user. And then since this PowerShell script is going to be available through our Apache web server, we need to store this Out-Minidump script in the var www.html directory. Okay, so we'll create a file nano, and then var www.html, and then the name out-minidump.ps1. Okay, enter, and then here we can make Control V, Command V, or right click, paste clipboard, and you can see here the content. Okay, content of the script, and then To save this content, let's use the Control X option and then select the capital Y for yes, and then hit enter. And if you want to validate this, like if the creation of the file was successful, you can use cat and then var www html and then the name of the file, which is out-minidump out-minidump.ps1, and here is the content. Okay, so the file was created successfully, and now since it is under the var www html directory, if we start the Apache 2 service, that script will be available. Okay, so let's use system. Let me clear the screen, and then you can run systemctl start Apache 2. Okay, so if you want to check the status of this service, you can run systemctl status Apache 2. Hit enter. Okay, so the web server is now running. Let's here. Okay, so as we mentioned it before, once the payload is executed, a reverse shell connection will be received by our Kali system. However, in order to handle this connection and start an interpreter session, we need to configure a listener on port 1234, the same port we use when creating the payload, and we will use the Metasploit framework to configure this listener. Okay, so let's run systemctl start PostgreSQL. Okay, this is the service that will help us to manage the Metasploit database. Okay, and then we need to start the Metasploit database by running msfdb space init. Okay, the database is already started and it appears to be already configured. Okay, now we can start the Metasploit framework by running msf console using the -q option, which stands for quiet. Okay, so the framework is ready. Now we will use the multi/handler module to configure our listener. Okay, if you use the options command, you will get more information about this module. And as you can see, we can specify the type of payload. We need to specify the listening host and the listening port for this listener. Okay, so let's start by setting the payload to Windows x64 interpreter reverse underscore HTTPS. Let's set the listening host to 10.05.13, and let's set the listening port to 1234. Okay, as you can see, these three values match the values we use when creating our malicious payload: the type of payload, the listening host, and the listening port. Okay, now let's just run this module. Okay, so now our Kali system is just waiting for Pedro to execute the payload. Okay, so let's continue with the second tactic of our simulation, which is the execution of the malicious payload. Okay, so let's access our Windows 10 system. We already downloaded the payload, so let's just open the download folder, or you can select this option here to show the payload in folder, which is downloads. Okay, and we will make right click on the payload and then run it as administrator. You will get this user account control window okay? And we just need to click on yes to allow this application to make changes on our computer. If we go back to our Kali system, okay, as you can see, Kali is just waiting for the connection and it's receiving the connection from 10.0.55, which is the IP for the router, okay, and the Metasploit session was created successfully, okay, great. So now that we got initial access to our Windows 10 system, okay, we can start the discovery phase of our plan. So let's start by opening a shell on our victim's computer. Mhm. And we can get information about the system by running system info. Okay, so you have information about the operating system, information about the processor, and you also have information about, for example, the domain. This computer was added to the pandalab.com domain, and you also have networking information like the IP address, for example, information about the DHCP server. Okay, now we can get also context about the current user. Okay, and we will use the who am I. We will run two commands here together. Who am I and who am I um, /groups. Okay, and as you can see, our payload is running under the context of Pedro.Gustavo. Okay, and this user is part of the domain admins for that domain. Okay, for pandalab.com. And something also that is very interesting here is that our payload is running with high integrity level. Okay, since we got access with an admin account, and as we just said, our payload is running with a high integrity, we should be able to interact with LSASS. Okay, so let's etc the shell. And we will need to load the PowerShell module. Okay, and we will run the following command: PowerShell execute. Okay, PowerShell underscore execute, and then we'll use uh, two PowerShell commands. Okay, that are between quotation marks. The first command is we are invoking an expression, a web request, and we are parsing the content of this file, Out-Minidump.ps1. Okay, this is the file that is stored in, or that is being served by our Apache 2 server. Okay, once we get that uh, script, okay, we are executing it on memory. Okay, so the Out-Minidump function is available for us. And the second command, now that the Out-Minidump function is available, okay, on memory, we are accessing the ID, the process ID for LSASS, and we are using that information to run the Out-Minidump function. Okay, we hit enter. If everything is okay, dump file or DMP file should be created, and yes, it was successfully created under the download folder for Pedro Gustavo. Okay, so again, just to be sure that you guys understood the two steps of this command. First, we are making a connection to the Apache web server. We are downloading the content of the Out-Minidump PowerShell script. We are executing that uh, script on memory, so the Out-Minidump function is available. After that, we are getting the process ID for LSASS, and we are using the pipe command to use that as an input for the Out-Minidump function. And as you can see, we were able to create a dump file for the LSASS process, okay? So now we can finish our simulation just exfiltrating the DMP file that we just created. Okay, so let's go back to our Kali system, and we are going to use the download command. Okay, and we need to specify the path to the file. So it's going to be C. Remember to use double backslash because this is syntax for Metasploit. Okay, users double backslash Pedro dot Gustavo double backslash downloads double backslash, and the name of the file is LSASS underscore 628.dmp. Okay, so we are exfiltrating the file. So let's just wait until we got the 100% of the file. Okay, it's almost ready. Perfect. So as you can see, the DMP file was stored in under the home Kali directory. Okay, so now that we have received the dump file, we can use pre-install Kali Linux tools such as PyPyCats, for example, to extract credential material from this DMP file. So let's exit our Meterpreter session. Okay, and let's exit the Metasploit framework. Okay, so now we are accessing our Kali system again. Um, and if you list all the files, and let's look for the LSASS underscore 628.dmp. So you can see the file is there. Okay. So now we can use tools such as PyPyCats. Okay. And we can use the LSA space mini dump options, and then specify the name of the file. Okay, and hit enter. Okay, so great. We have successfully steered credentials material from the LSASS memory um, for this Windows 10 machine. Okay, so you can see, let me go up really quick. Okay, we have hashes, for example, for Pedro Gustavo, um, and different users here in this. Okay, so remember that all the data for this simulation um, will be stored under the Security Datasets project from Open Threat Research. We will share the link to this dataset on the description of this video. Thank you for watching this video.